Did you know we're running a convention? That's right, the Nerd and Tie Expo from September 23rd through 25th, 2016 in Eau Claire, Wisconsin at the Plaza Hotel and Suites. $30 is all it costs to pre-register for the event, so go to expo.nerdandtie.com and do it right now. There are going to be guests, there are going to be events, it's going to be an amazing time. Be there, or just be disappointed with your own existence.
On this fortnight's edition of Nerd and Tie, John Boyega is personally canceling the apocalypse. Kung Fury is getting a sequel. There's a Mandrake the Magician movie for some reason. I'm going to talk about the Voltron remake. A version of Vixen is coming to Legends of Tomorrow, and Pher went to 2DCon. All that in your mailbag on this fortnight's Nerd and Tie.
Woo!
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 Yay!
Woo! It's very early.
We're recording several hours earlier than we normally would.
Like 12.
Right?
Or I'm sorry, more
Sorry.
like 10. More like 10.
It's my fault. It's my fault.
I didn't even know there was a 10 a.m. on Sundays. Oh my God, what else have you been hiding from me?
The peanuts.
Okay.
All the peanuts. And 2 cases of Gunpla.
And
The
mission
peanuts
report.
I don't miss so much, but the gunpla makes
December
me sad.
16th, 1991.
But we've packed all the Gunpla
No.
in the peanuts.
Oh, that would... Oh. Well, at least I'm not allergic. And no, you can't have mission report December 16, 1991. Not again. You remember what happened the last time someone asked me for that?
Right?
Oh, dear.
You said,
Bringing
I
up all of
haven't
my
seen the
terrible...
movie yet.
That's true. Now that I've seen it, so I get all the references.
Finally catching up with the rest of the civilized world, we have Professor Pher.
I hear this new Star Wars movie is Crackerjack, you guys.
Hiding my favorite hobby inside well, what's not really a nut is Tradorn.
It's a legume.
Mm-hmm. That was the word. I could not remember that word. And unable to remember what a legume is, I'm Nick Izumi. What a lovely morning. What a lovely
Oh, what a
lovely
beautiful morning.
Oh, boy.
Boy.
You know, while there's some stuff that I'm kind of rolling my eyes at on this, I'm actually pretty excited to talk about most of the things on the docket for this fortnight's episode.
I feel like I had something irreverent to bring up during the intros, but I'm too tired to remember what it was. Like, I had this whole
These are the
set of
best.
thoughts last night. Like, I'm going to bring that up during the intros, and that's going to be really funny. And now I don't know. Although I've seen the Angry Birds movie twice now.
Why? Why would you do that to
Why
yourself?
would you see it once?
Well, actually, it's kind of funny, but it was the first movie
Okay.
at the double feature both weeks. I
Okay.
went last 2 weeks where
I guess it's not like an offensive like I wouldn't be offended if someone said we're gonna go see the Angry Birds movie. Like whatever, it's probably an hour and a
it's
half.
like I went to see it so I could see Ninja Turtles last week because that was the second movie after it. And
Oh.
this week I went so I could go see Nice Guys. So after it,
That was good, right?
yeah, it was.
I was excited about that one. I know
although-
we'll talk about Ninja Turtles later on the...
Okay, so
mailbag,
so
but
I
yeah.
went but here's the thing. So when I went and saw I go to a drive-in with 2 screens on it, and actually the first screen was still showing Ninja Turtles 2 second, but the other screen was showing The Conjuring 2, then Nice Guys. So I switched screens, but I watched the last 20 minutes of The Conjuring 2.
Oh, dear.
And that is I want to describe it as it seemed like a brilliant comedy, but not much of a horror film. Especially when you know, okay, because the Conjuring films are supposed to be based off of a true story, except if you know anything about the true story, it's that like the story that The Conjuring 2 is based on, like the girls involved in the real thing admitted they made it all up and faked the photos and explained how they faked the photos of like them floating and stuff. So like going and knowing that, even though like I didn't watch the rest of the movie, I was just like hearing the imitating the ridiculous voices on the tape and stuff like that. It was just like it was the most fucking hilarious 20 minutes of cinema I've ever seen. The last 20 minutes of The Conjuring 2. I didn't watch the rest of the movie. I don't know what the rest of the movie's like, but I was just like, and that's gonna happen. And then it did. And then I laughed. And then I was like, and then I started imitating the voice of the guy on the tape and talking about.
Note to self:
Yeah.
don't go see that one.
A lot of people went and saw that.
Dear God.
Yeah. So the funny thing
Conjuring 2, more like Conjuring 2 stupid. Am I right, guys?
So the funny thing is,
More like
about-
Conjuring Poo.
but just to actually just say one thing about the Angry Birds movie. All of these, like, you know how like all of these European like right-wing nationalists have like tried to like use it as an allegory for refugees in this really creepy way.
What?
Well, okay, so you haven't seen the movie,
I
right?
was not aware of this. And
Oh
not
god, it's a
either.
whole thing. So have you seen the movie? Either one
No.
of you? Okay, it's
I
Oh.
played the games.
okay. It's actually a pretty funny movie. But the pigs show up on the bird island pretending to be friends, and then they steal the eggs. And so, the people who are like trying to say like, oh, the pigs are an allegory for refugees, and this is why you shouldn't let them in, and like all this other shit. Except, if you pay attention to the film, since the pigs are more technologically advanced, they show up, they take the stuff, and they go back. Like all of the stuff, it's really clear that the pigs are an allegory for European imperialism. If you're gonna draw a parallel, that's the really obvious parallel. Like that, it's, and so I'm like, no, you don't understand. You're the bad guys in this movie. You don't get to like recast this. Like, no, it's the refugees aren't the pigs. You're the pigs. You. So,
You're the real anime Hitler. No, I haven't gotten yelled at in a really long time.
but deep down inside, weren't we all the real anime Hitler?
God, I hope not.
God. And with that,
Oh God,
let's move on to happy.
stop letting me talk.
Because we have. I'm really excited. Our first news story is actually super fun and related to things that we love. Everyone knows from the very first episode of Nerd and Tie, what's one thing that we, the Nerd and Tie team, absolutely adore? Pacific Rim. It's only like, you know, one of our favorite movies ever freaking made.
oh, now you can see me looking at my copy.
So how do you make Pacific Rim better? I mean, who could you bring in to a Pacific Rim sequel to get us even more excited for robots punching monsters, which is going to be a theme this episode?
Steve Buscemi.
Nick Cage.
No, although I would love both of those casting announcements.
I think they're drift
No.
compatible.
Well, we don't know who he's drifting with, but we have it confirmed that our lead actor for Pacific Rim 2 is none other than John Boyega from Star Wars The Force Awakens.
And Attack the
Hell
Block.
Yeah.
and Attack the Block, which, man, he is really good at. He is like the new sci-fi hero of everything. I love it.
I can totally dig. John Boyega is a really charming and fun actor.
To get real on y'all,
I'm a little.
he's the new black guy we can all agree on. That's a reference to an Onion headline, which was Will Smith, the black guy everyone in the office can agree on.
Okay.
Yeah,
From about
it's
20 years
right.
ago. Yeah.
Thank you.
Still problem. And anyway, so John Boyega is I've already been hearing the only thing that I'm not digging about
What I'm
I've
saying are
heard
white people
and-
are racist. Sorry.
Well, yeah. No. I'm going back to specifically talking about John Boyega's casting. The only thing that I'm not super jazzed with the announcement is that it sounds like we might be having some Robotech logic of he is Stacker Pentecost's son, because all black guys are related in sci-fi, right?
Well,
That's how it works.
Well, to be fair, the one black guy in Independence Day 2 is playing Will Smith's son.
Okay. But that's kind of what I'm talking about.
Well, no, that was a joke. That wasn't meant to be a serious defense. I think
it's really weird and kind of racist.
Okay, so I don't think that. I think the issue here is just that there aren't more black people in the movie, not that John Boyega is playing Stacker Pentecost's son. So I think that's really the issue. It's just that Idris Elba was the only black lead in this movie, and if there had been a second one, no one would be complaining that John Boyega was playing Stacker Pentecost's son, because I think it's an absolute trope to have the son of the dead character show up in the sequel. That happens
That's fair.
a lot. I think that the only reason why it feels like that, like the Robotech thing, is just because they made the only black lead from the first movie. The second movie's black lead is directly related. That's the only reason why, is that there's no other black characters. I mean, maybe there are background guys. There are probably background guys, but there's no other named black character in Pacific Rim.
On another note, though, speaking of his relation to Idris Elba, is that if he is Idris Elba's son, that probably means that Boyega will be able to talk in his natural British accent, which makes me say that's fine, but everyone else in this movie better not be talking in what their actual accent is, so it's just like the first one. Because I can only deal with one person speaking with their normal accent at a time in a Pacific Rim movie.
You're trying to tell me Charlie Hunnam's American accent didn't quite cut it? Are you? Is that what you're saying?
That is exactly what I'm getting at. And maybe those Australians with those offensive, whatever it was, noises they were making.
God.
Okay, wait a minute. No, Rinko Kikuchi was talking in her regular accent. So, okay, we have one more person speaking in their naturalized accent.
You know, I just want Charlie Day to stop doing that terrible American accent. I mean, it's just awful.
Okay, that's fair.
He's got a great Philly accent. That's.
I'm sorry, just the bad accents in Pacific Rim make it what it is for me.
Yeah. Well, it's part of its charm.
Mm-hmm. Someone compared it once to, the video game Street Fighter, in that in any other context this could come off as really racist, but instead just everyone is so exaggerated that it's, when everyone's a caricature, it doesn't seem it doesn't seem as harmful, and just makes it all the more of a cartoon.
Well, and it's also that, like, actually none of the minority characters were using fake accents.
That's true.
It was all white people imitating other white people.
Yeah, which is thankfully not. Well,
like,
yeah,
it's that, like an Australian imitating an American imitating, like, these are all people from equal points and structure of power.
Mm-hmm.
So no one's
getting marginalized.
No one's punching down. Everyone's punching sideways. This is my punching sideways, apparently, motion that I started doing without thinking about it. Like, this is literally, my hands just started doing this.
I love this show.
This is also my confused gay sex gesture. For people who don't know what they're doing.
Oh, dear God. But no, I would rate this as very good news.
Absolutely. I mean, it's John Boyega is, I mean, not only is he a great actor, but I think he's probably one of the most recognizable faces right now in Hollywood. So to get somebody who is just part of one of the biggest sci-fi franchises of all time to lead your movie, that's a good business idea.
He's so good in Star Wars. So it's like, and like, he's just such a charismatic sounds. That's what I'm gonna call my new techno band is charismatic. But he's very charismatic and on screen, and he's very good at. I want to see what he's gonna do in the, like, what kind of character they're gonna do. Is he going to be commanding, or is he going to be trying to live up to his father's shadow? You know, like it's
those are some big boots to fill,
right? And and especially since his character is so much younger. I mean, obviously so much younger. He's playing his son, but like, coming up as a pilot and trying to prove himself against it. Like, there's a lot of really obviously cliched stories that you can do with that, but cliches are what Pacific Rim does best.
I would say, yeah, Pacific Rim is everything that it did well are things that have been done before. It just does them exceptionally well.
Yeah. Well, because, it's the genius of Pacific Rim is that you can be both in some ways paint by numbers while being wholly original. It just it you know what it is it hits those tropes fully without cynicism, and that's the amazing thing. It's just the joy of Pacific Rim is its total lack. It also shows that you can use those tropes 100%, and as long as you put enough behind it and you do it right, that still produces an enjoyable movie. Just because something has been done 1,000 times before doesn't mean that if you do it if you do it right, it won't be like, just because it's been done before doesn't mean it'll be a bad movie if you hit it full speed and do it right. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Words.
Literally the same reasons why the anime Gurren Lagann works.
Well,
literally the exact same reasons.
It's honestly, what I love about Pacific Rim is that you don't have to make sense of it. Like, we're getting what we're getting. We're getting two people climbing into a giant robot and beating the crap out of aliens.
If you're asking questions like, why didn't they use that sword earlier in the movie, and why is that tanker holding up to the pressure of being picked up and wielded like a baseball bat when structurally that should be impossible, you don't ask those questions during the movie. You might think about them later, but during the movie, you are so in that moment that you're like, yes. Although everyone did think, why? I do like, even Charlie Hubbard's like, since when did we have a sword? Like,
hey, to be fair, they specifically state that Gypsy has been upgraded since the last time.
But they're in each other's heads.
Raleigh was on it.
You should know whatever she knows.
Also, that goes back to a long-standing tradition from Voltron, who we'll get to later, that you exhaust every other weapon you have, then you use the sword. Everything.
I feel like I should have set up a camera angle mimicking, like, the Voltron shot.
Something like that.
We'll get back to that later.
Yeah, man. So, yeah, John Boyega. Yeah.
Gotta love him.
We should
I'm even more excited for this next movie.
But Pher, there's other awesome stuff to talk about, isn't there?
We are like on a which is good because we need a lot of good news right now. We are on a string of good news this morning. Speaking of sequels, last year Kung Fury was one of the biggest things on Kickstarter, and was probably one of the greatest 30-minute movies ever made. And guess what? It's getting a sequel. Yeah!
Oh, dear God.
Get excited, true survivors.
It's been announced. Director, creator, and star David Sandberg posted on his Instagram, today Kung Fury turns 1. Today the future is written with the script for Kung Fury 2, the movie, wrapped in the red headband from Kung Fury. I only hope that David Hasselhoff comes back for the next song.
It all depends on whether or not they can afford him.
Good God, the first Kung Fury is a masterpiece.
See, and that's what, like, okay. So it's gonna be a movie, and that's great, and that's good. But what worked about the first one is that there was so much batshit insanity within 30 minutes.
Yeah,
that you didn't really have time to process anything. It was just like, oh my god, this is awesome.
and that's what
And
makes
I
you watch
worry
it
that
3 more times to keep unpacking it.
And I just worry that extending this to a longer than 30-minute vehicle is going to leave your brain in too much room to think this is really dumb.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about that too, because like, what more can we say with Kung Fury at this point? As exciting as this is, it's like,
Well,
what?
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Yeah, it's like the joke is funny for 30 minutes. Can the joke be funny for an hour and a half to 2 hours? And I don't know.
It works well when you spend 6 minutes dealing with laser raptors. It works, but if you're wandering around like
the laser raptor's less than a minute. Like it's
and then that's just it. Like that's how my brain that's how quick it goes by. But you remember it, and you like your brain is just like that's it. But like that, if he's gonna spend 30 minutes wandering around the countryside dealing with all sorts of laser raptors, I don't know that joke's gonna work anymore.
Right, and it's
Go ahead.
Well, the genius of Kung Fury is that it's visual one-liners. Like, everything's a one-liner. Whether it's an actual one-liner or it's a shot of something, it's all quick and it's snappy and it's boom, boom, boom. And I don't know how you pace that out for a 2-hour movie, because first off, if you make it as rapid-fire as the 30-minute movie, that is mentally exhausting for an audience. Like, to have that much information constantly blasted at them for a full hour and a half. So you have to slow it down in some ways, and I don't know if the premise can sustain the longer periods required. And so,
It's the danger of turning a Saturday Night Live skit into a movie. Like when it's just the one skit, and like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Sometimes you get Wayne's World, and sometimes you get Coneheads.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you get the Pat movie.
Oh,
I have
man.
seen the Pat movie.
Why would you?
I have seen things.
Well, apparently Popstar wasn't too bad, and that was essentially.
But Superstar was that was
no Popstar, the new one from like the Lonely.
Oh yeah, Popstar, yeah. But that
which
was
is kind of like an extended SNL sketch.
But that was an original premise for the film.
Fair enough.
Mm.
So it's like, well, I think the issue is like, if you in a 2-hour film, are you going to start actually questioning the logic of the fact that Hitler shot up the police station through a telephone? Like,
right? Yeah, exactly.
That. First off, that makes me wonder why anyone would ever install a phone. Right?
Oh dear God.
I wouldn't own a phone if you could kill someone through it. Unless I had a phone for killing.
Phone for Killing is going to be. It needs to be either the name of an album or like a noir novel. One or the other, maybe both. A concept album based on the noir novel. Yes. Okay.
I'll get right to that.
Anyways, so
I'll mock up some cover art.
Kung Fury 2 probably happening. There's a script, and we'll see how it works as a full movie.
Yeah. On the other hand, we still have the first Kung Fury, which is a piece of art and genius.
Mm-hmm.
In which
everybody
hacks
should
away
watch
the bullet wounds. And it's also got probably one of the most entertaining action sequences I've seen in a long time in the Nazi compound. Right? And
yeah,
I wonder how they shot. Like, it makes me go like, how much of this is a human being for these moves, and how much is CGI? And because clearly he's not. I doubt he's doing the splits. You know what I mean? Like that. Like, how are they achieving these things? Like, is he a digital puppet?
Some really good stunt actors.
Well, but it's like, I go, is he a digital puppet in that scene? How much of this is like, I don't know what David Sandberg's like martial arts experience is, right?
Well, whatever happens though, this is one of those cases of like, no matter what quality the sequel is, no one can ever take away what's great about the original.
Pretty much. I'm going with that. So I'm
People always need to remember that.
I'm going to choose to be excited, but
Mhm.
I'm going to keep my expectations low. Like
Cautiously optimistic.
Right about here.
Hmm.
Yeah. It's I wanted to make statements about Ninja Turtles too, but we're going to talk about that in the mailbag, so we're going to I'll hold off on that. You know, speaking of things from my childhood though, because we brought up Ninja Turtles.
Oh boy.
Mandrake the Magician is a character that a lot of you are not familiar with.
I know him.
Okay, so Nick knows him. You can't see his hand because that's not on screen on the 3-shot here. But But Mandrake the Magician is often described, at least by King's Features Syndicate, when they're trying to promote the character as the first superhero, even though he's a guy dressed like a magician, because he has superpowers. Because the whole premise behind Mandrake the Magician is that he was capable of doing the things that magicians faked, so he could like hypnotize his enemies and do other stuff. And it was effectively his biggest piece of medium was a comic strip that ran from the 1930s to the early 2000s in King Features Syndicate. It was created by the same guy who created the Phantom, Lee Falk.
Which is why he was a core member of the Defenders of the Earth.
I was going to bring that up.
Much.
Defenders of the Earth. See, personally, I'm most familiar with him the same way that I'm most familiar with the Phantom and with Flash Gordon, and that is with Defenders of the Earth. It was Flash Gordon, right? Yeah, okay, good. I'm not crazy.
Yeah, it was Flash Gordon, the Phantom, and Mandrake. Yeah. Along with their kids and some other guys.
And the bad guy was Ming the Merciless. In the cartoon. And that's also my
Phantom
first...
and Mandrake don't have good villains. Oh.
Yeah. Well, that was my personal introduction to all three of those all four of those characters, if you include Ming the Merciless. Like that is where I was introduced to all those characters in the old cartoon from my childhood, because I'm in my 30s. But there haven't been a lot of on-screen adaptations. There was a film in, I believe, the 30s. There was a 1950s TV movie. But beyond that, and the Defenders of the Earth, there haven't been a lot of adaptations of Mandrake the Magician outside of those three things. And so, for a while, though, there's been a film in development. A Mandrake the Magician film in development. I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that there are all these superhero movies being made, and King Feature Syndicate said, hey, we've got one of those. And, well... They said, we've got one of those who isn't the Phantom, because that movie didn't do that well. Slam evil. Billy Zane!
Nor did the TV movie on Sci-Fi.
There was a Phantom TV movie?
Yeah, there was. It was bad.
Dude, I gotta watch that.
The main character refused to wear the Phantom costume, even.
Oh. At least Billy Zane suited up into purple. And Patrick McGowan played the ghost of Billy Zane's father. Patrick McGowan from The Prisoner. I've seen that movie a whole bunch. Well, anyways, so a Mandrake the Magician movie has been in development for a few years, and it had been kind of like in development hell for a while, but it looks like things are actually moving forward because they have cast a lead in the film. We now know who's going to play Mandrake the Magician, assuming this film gets made. And it's Sacha Baron Cohen.
Okay, all right. So
let's unpack this.
What I'll say about Sacha Baron Cohen is that he does get into his characters. The man when he commits to a role, he commits to it.
I'm not denying that. I'm just sad.
Have you seen the stuff Sacha Baron? Okay, actually, the Dictator wasn't bad.
Yeah, it's okay. So let's go back to Sacha Baron Cohen is an interesting character. He's a dedicated character actor. Is really what it comes down to. He is, and he goes full in on a character. Now, he can do subtle. He actually is capable of it. He just doesn't like to do that with his original characters.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not writing this movie. He's not creating this
Thank
character. He is, so if he plays the character, like, if anything, like, my one reason why I'm kind of positive on this is because Sacha Baron Cohen has the showmanship to create a believable magician personality. Also, because Mandrake the Magician is a character who, like, you know, is a smiling, you know, smirking, like he's a witty character who has to be funny. He has to be a showman. He's, like, you know, he is supposed to be, like, you know, that kind of a person. So I think that Sacha Baron Cohen does bring the skill to accurately do that. So as long as the script is good and the director is on his game, it could be good. But we won't know. Also, what my fear is that it'll become a parody.
That's right. That's exactly what I'm afraid of. Because, like, I hear that when I hear him casting that, all I can think of is that Green Hornet movie from a couple years ago.
On the other hand, they could be saying, "Hey, we want to make the next Deadpool." Like, not the violent elements, but the humor elements. Because if I can believably see a Mandrake the Magician film with the character pointing out the cliches and conventions of what's happening, and like being funny, like, and while still making the context of the film serious. Like, because Deadpool works because even though Deadpool's hilarious, the emotional weight still lands for the situation.
Right.
And so
I have trouble shaking. Like, the only thought that's going through my head is parody. Like, I don't
know if they're going to do it well. I don't know if they're going to pull it off. I'm just thinking maybe that's what they're going for. And if they do it, it's all, honestly, I think it's all going to come down to the script. Whatever's written is going to make the huge difference, because I think as long as what's written is good, Sacha Baron Cohen will fill whatever role they write for him.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's that kind of flexible a person where he's just going to do whatever they write. I mean, well, obviously he'll improvise, but, like, he'll improvise into the character they create.
I don't think he's a bad actor. I want to clarify. I kind of feel bad because there are all these golden age, like, characters that no one really takes seriously anymore. And as a comic book historian, I think it would be really cool to see, like, these classic characters given new life and make them relevant again. Like, I mean, even the original, for most people, when you say Flash Gordon, the first thing that comes to mind for them is going to be the 1980 movie, which, I mean, the Queen soundtrack to that thing is one of the greatest soundtracks ever recorded, but, you know, it's silly. It's completely over the top. And it makes you kind of sad, because if you look at old, like, original Buster Crabbe Flash Gordon bits from, you know, the original serials, they're actually really well researched and solid pieces of science fiction that were working with what theoretical physics was at the time.
Yeah.
And I would love to see, like, a loving adaptation of these classic characters.
Well, to be fair, I really enjoyed, you know, I know it got canceled after a season, but I really enjoyed Sci-Fi's reboot about 10 years ago of Flash Gordon.
You know, I didn't watch that. Maybe I should.
I really liked it. I think it recasts space travel with dimensional travel. So okay. I actually kind of love they like Flash and Dale are pretty straight adaptations of their characters. Where he's you know, like, Flash is a track star. That's the type of athlete he is in this. And then, you know, but Hans Zarkov is probably they went a little different with Hans Zarkov, where they made him only about 10 or 15 years older than Flash Gordon, and made him a little more eccentric and crazy.
Oh, okay.
Also, you get to see white Ming the Merciless as they totally avoid all the racism issues by making Ming the Merciless a blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy who just happens to have a name Ming. Well, no, because they were
I'll still probably take a look at it.
No, it's I like it. It's it effectively he acts like Ming the Merciless 100%. They just got rid of all the racialized elements. And so I think it's like
okay, so that's kind of cool.
It's not here like when you recast the Asian character as white, it's not racist if you're doing it to make it because the original character was such a racist stereotype. Also, he's not even from Asia. From another planet.
Space.
So yeah,
but, Mandrake. Who knows?
Yeah.
Go on.
You know, speaking of things from my childhood, Nick, I think we should let you talk about Voltron.
Yeah, I'm excited as hell to talk about Voltron right now because just this last Friday, before we are recording this, Netflix and DreamWorks finally posted the first 11. And because the pilot is triple length, technically the first 13 episodes, their entire first season of their remake, Voltron Legendary Defender. Some of you might remember Voltron, the original cartoon from the 80s, as an adaptation of the Japanese super robot show Go Lion.
Technically, the original series Voltron was an adaptation of 2 different anime series and a third planned one. It's just no one remembers anything other than the Go Lion season.
I'm gonna reach over and dump your
15,
books. Let me just.
That's because no one cares about the Dairuger 15, aka Vehicle Voltron season, because no one likes Vehicle Voltron.
The toys were kind of
literally
cool.
No one. Well, that's the thing, though. At the end of the day, even Lion Voltron, the toys were kind of cool is the only really good thing you can say about it. The characters were paper thin.
I love the sequence
was...
where the black line comes out of the pool.
Well, yeah, there's some nice animation.
And they use that one in every episode.
But the thing is, like, the characters were paper thin. The voice acting was bad. Even for 80s cartoons, the voice acting was bad. It was just shallow and stupid. And you got great stuff like when a character died in the Japanese version, they would awkwardly say, "Oh no, they went to the healing planet."
That happened.
You're just never going to see them again.
Happened a lot. That happened on Battle of the Planets also, where 2 characters who like suicide bombed effectively got talked about like having a happy ending, and the
best example of that from the original Voltron, the character Sven dies in the 3rd episode, and in Go Lion, his brother comes back later. But in Voltron, when they kept in the scene with the brother coming in, but when the brother is visited by Sven's ghost, what they did for the English was, "Oh, the ghost of my past self, shaming me."
So they made
the point I'm getting at is that Voltron.
Continue.
Yeah. The point I'm getting at is that Voltron, the original cartoon, is a shallow, goofy thing that sold really nice toys and has a lot of nostalgia value. So, but I mean, there's nostalgia value, and that's pretty high. So let's fast forward to now, 2016.
Well, even one of our mascots, Cravitron Z's back wing is based off of Voltron's.
Mm-hmm. Voltron's a memorable robot. People still love him. Hell, speaking of Deadpool loves Voltron. It's a key plot point in the movie. But now here we are, 2016. What do you do with Voltron when you're trying to make what is, in essence, a really cheesy, fun, but at the end of the day, cheesy, shallow cartoon relevant for today? Well, get the crew behind Legend of Korra and Avatar: The Last Airbender to work on it, and you get the phenomenal original series, Voltron Legendary Defender. Guys, I cannot emphasize enough how desperately I want both of you and everyone listening /watching this to go watch this cartoon. It's so stonking good. The writing is on point. The Voltron pilots actually have well fleshed out personalities, as does the princess, as does even the butler character Koran, who is played by Murray from Flight of the Conchords, and it's totally just Murray in space. I mean, it's amazing. Like, I'm waiting for next season for there to be a scene where he actually does, all right, Paladin meeting, Murray, present. Like, I'm desperately waiting for it.
I love Rhys
There's
Darby.
Rhys Darby, phenomenal. Steve Ewan from Walking Dead is in it. The kid who plays Finn from Adventure Time is in it. The lead actor from Deadbeat is playing Hunk. Oh dear God, no.
This is an incredible cast list.
Yeah, no, it's great.
This is amazing.
The cast are phenomenal. The voice, Andrea Romano directed, and she was the voice director on all of the DC cartoons, including the classic Bruce Timm ones. So, of course, like, the voice work is on point. The animation is beautiful. I'm talking, like, Gainax quality, like, speed lines, intense movements. There are scenes that look like they were taken straight out of Gurren Lagann or some of the better animated episodes of Gunbuster. That is the look that they are going for. But best of all, the best choice they made in this entire series was, while the show is named after Voltron, they actually used Voltron and the Lions very, very, very sparingly. The main focus of the show is on the characters, on our 5 pilots, the princess and Koran. Actually, they only fight 2 Robies in the entire series. Of the 13 episodes right now, Voltron is only formed like 4 or 5 times, and they only fight 2 giant monster robots. It's mostly focused on the characters, their interactions, and just developing a really great show.
So you'd say it's better than the previous Voltron reboot?
Than the previous 2 Voltron reboots.
Oh God, that's right. There was. Forgot about that.
Yeah, you have the CG one that was done all Beast Wars style.
I remember the CG one.
They decided to go grimdark with that. They do not go grimdark in this. Like, they take things seriously. The Galra, who, by the way, they named Zarkon's forces the same name they were in the Japanese and Go Lion. The Galra Empire are definitely a threat. But again, it's the same crew that did Avatar: The Last Airbender. You can tell they're a lot like and as a result, they're a lot like the Fire Nation from Avatar. They're shown as a legitimate threat. Very scary, but they don't have to go ultra grimdark in order to get that to come across. Tonally, it's actually very similar to Avatar: The Last Airbender, because you have this small group of resistance fighters against an empire that's entirely bigger than them, and along the way, they're having really well choreographed action sequences and throwing witty quips at each other. So, yeah. Again, I cannot beg everyone enough to watch the crap out of the show. Support it. I can't have another really good cartoon get canceled on me like this.
Well, I think Netflix is probably its best chance. Also, I want to apologize to listeners at home who have been hearing clicking and popping during this story. It's a connection issue on my end. And, unfortunately, that's in the source audio, and that is an issue that has occurred, and I apologize. Nothing we can do to fix it.
Sorry about
at this
that,
moment.
guys.
Right.
But yeah, please go check out Voltron Legendary Defender. It's on Netflix. I binge-watched all of it this weekend. I never binge-watch things.
All right. We should move on to our next story. And I do not have a witty and clever transition or segue. So
I do.
What is it?
Oh, let's hear.
Well, we were just talking about a legacy character like Voltron. Why don't we talk about another legacy character coming to another fun piece of media?
Or, conversely, speaking of people who can harness the power of lions.
See?
So, the CW Seeds Vixen has been is a minor corner of the Arrowverse, but it has become a pretty popular character with with fans of the series, and with her the appearance of the character on Arrow this season of Megalyn EK's Mari McCabe on Arrow this season has kind of cemented the popularity of the character. Likewise, Legends of Tomorrow is always been designed to have a rotating cast, and to avoid spoilers, I'm not going to say who, but with 2 to 3 major characters exiting the series at the end of the first season, the question has been who are going to replace these people in the ensemble. Well, we have one of their answers, and that is Vixen will, but not the Vixen we know. Not Megalyn EK. See, the problem is Megalyn EK is actually, her career is kind of taking off, and she's getting super busy. Now, don't worry, they're not recasting Vixen. It's Mari McCabe. It will continue to be played by Megalyn EK, but because her powers come from a totem which has been passed down through her family, and Legends of Tomorrow involves a bunch of time travelers, we are going to instead get a different member of that family's line. A different Vixen, a different generation's Vixen, will be joining the cast of Legends of Tomorrow Season 2. We have no idea if it's a past or future Vixen. It could be the Vixen from the 1800s. It could be the Vixen from 2372. We don't know.
My guess, I think we actually do have a pretty good reason to guess that it might be a past one, though.
Yeah.
Because they put out a casting sheet recently, and they were looking for a African-American actress who would be playing a World War II soldier, was what they said. So,
okay.
It's very likely that that is going to be the Vixen that we're talking about.
That is information I did not have. All right, that's good.
That's gonna be cool though.
Don't ask why I keep up with casting calls for Legends of Tomorrow.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I would rather have the Mari McCabe incarnation of the character on there, but I'd much rather not recast the role. So I think recastings can get awkward, and especially since Megalyn EK is going to be continuing to voice the character on season 2 of Vixen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm excited. It's a neat set of superpowers that they don't have to explain. At least, because people have even if they haven't watched the web series, have seen the episode of Arrow where the character appears.
And she was pretty great even in just that one episode.
Well,
so,
they did the genius thing when they cast her for the animated series, that they made sure they cast someone who could also portray the character live action. Like they cast someone who matched the physical type of the character on the show, which is something that doesn't always, because with voice acting, you don't have to look like the character. I mean, Gary Chalk does not look like half the people he's voiced. Or any of them, really. Like, Gary Chalk doesn't look like a robot John Wayne.
Just look at H. John Benjamin. Good God.
Yeah, no, there you go. Well, to be fair,
there's a special feature that they did that though, and I love that where they put they drew Archer as H. John Benjamin, and it's beautiful.
Oh, I need to see that.
You gotta track it down. It's hilarious.
Oh, I love that image.
Yeah, they want to the
beautiful.
creators of Archer want to cast John Hamm as a live action Archer, and I'm like, he's a great actor.
Should.
He's a great actor, but I feel like he's too old to be Archer. I feel like Archer's got to be in his 30s.
Yeah.
And John Hamm is not.
Going back to Vixen though, I think she'll be a great add-on to the Legends of Tomorrow team. Um, and I think it is worth noting that, if we go by the first season, the powerhouses of the Legends team have always been the women on the team. So having another woman who's a powerhouse character, totally in line with what the dynamic has been in the show.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
but
I'm excited for it.
I'm excited too. I really want to see what they're gonna do. What I am excited for though is the planned next season 4-way crossover between Supergirl, The Flash, Arrow, and Legends of Tomorrow. It's gonna be amazing.
It's gonna be over the top, possibly a mess, but it's gonna be off the chain. I don't even care.
I've got hope because we see how not seriously they take things in regards to some of the shows.
Oh my God! Oliver Queen is going to be drowning in insanity because literally everyone else is more laid back than he is.
Yep. That'd be perfect.
Worst time travelers ever. Just saying.
Hey, they defeated Vandal Savage. I mean, technically, he's still alive in present day. Because they killed future Vandal Savage. I mean, I get that, they stopped Vandal Savage, and that's great, but, that doesn't really help, Barry Allen if he encounters Vandal Savage, because Vandal Savage is still alive in 2016.
Well, he's ashified. He's just right now. John Barrowman has his ashes in a container somewhere. Maybe he'll.
This is one of those things where you just don't really think about it.
Oh, but
if you don't think
incidentally,
about it.
I'm going to add to my will that I want my body cremated and sent to John Barrowman.
But we have to.
Just don't let him know that.
I know it's not on the rundown. And we're probably tight for time. But they're gonna actually put Superman in a season 2 episode of Supergirl, properly. We're gonna see his face, and I think it's entirely because Dawn of Justice was so not taken well.
I'm totally good with it though. Just to go off on that tangent, because Supergirl's if it had one big problem is that they kept talking about Clark and not showing him.
I think it was really important. If you're
going to keep doing that, just put him in there.
I think it was really important for the first season to never rely on Superman. I think it was important because it established Supergirl. I think you can bring him in on the second season very easily then, because I
agree with that. Except they had him save her, they had him on screen, you just didn't see his face, and then there was another scene where she was instant messaging him. I mean, just have him be there if you're going to do that.
Well, but if they're trying to hide the fact that they're trying to hide that their alter egos know each other, because Clark Kent is not supposed to know Kara.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
That's important. It's Superman and Supergirl know each other, but Clark and Kara don't. So they can't meet a lot. They can't meet as civilians. So
that's fair.
And I do love the fact I love Superman showing up to save the day in the end of Supergirl and just instantly getting defeated and just dropping.
That was funny.
It really didn't make sense, logistically, but it was so funny. Just the I was like, I'm okay with this because it's hilarious.
All I'm saying is that CBS didn't pick up Tom Welling's pilot, so he's free right now.
A lot of people
just saying
that. A lot of
he's
people
out there. He's free.
But I think he'd be good cast, but I think that there's a and he's the right age because Superman should be in his 30s to match the timeline with Kara. With the number of years she was trapped in the Phantom Zone, I think it's a risk to. I mean, I don't think it's too much of a. Smallville's been off the air for long enough that I think that the continuities won't be confused, because obviously Kara Zor-El showed up in Smallville and that actress plays Indigo in Supergirl. So, I mean, because Supergirl has featured every on-screen Supergirl. Every live-action Supergirl has appeared in Supergirl. And it's not like we can bring Dean Cain in as Superman because he's already playing a character.
Not to mention, he does not look in Superman shape in the slightest these days.
No. Nor should he be expected to. Because, we're allowed to age.
No, I'm not denying that.
I know.
And then my favorite Superman can't do it because he's the Atom right now. So.
Yeah, no, that's the whole thing is that, they already have Brandon Ruth. Brandon Ruth would have been perfect except for the fact that, even though it's a multiverse, you can't have, a human looking exactly like a Kryptonian. That would be too coincidental and weird. It's it's fine to have, it's fine on The Flash having, Barry's father be the alternate version of, oh my God.
Jay Garrick.
Jay Garrick, thank you.
Good.
I've been saying his name for a year. God, The Flash is I can't, can you imagine that The Flash actually got me to like an incarnation of Barry Allen?
Yeah, right?
What?
Well, it's because to be fair, it's like we said at the beginning before The Flash aired. It's Barry Allen in name only. Otherwise, we're pretty much getting Wally West.
And Wally West's personality is more like and the Wally West we got on the show is really kind of he's rebelling, but he's not funny. I mean, I like Wally West on the show. Don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining about the performance from the actor, but because Barry Allen, because of Grant Gustin's effectively playing the Wally West personality with Barry Allen's backstory, I feel like they had to make Wally West different from that, and it's made Wally less funny.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I have not read many comics with New 52 Wally yet, because since the rebirth, now both Wallies are canon and running around literally in the same universe. Yeah. So, New 52 Wally, I've only read one comic he was in, so I don't know if that's a match for his personality yet.
That's a good question. I didn't even think about that. All right.
I'll keep you guys posted. I've started reading The Flash again.
All right. So since we are we shouldn't waste too much time. Pher, tell us about what happened at 2D Con.
Yeah.
2D Con. It was a convention in Minneapolis at the Bloomington DoubleTree, and it was a lot of fun. Of course, it's a gaming-centric convention run by the fine folks over at This Is Geek. If you do not like them on Facebook, go check them out. They are phenomenal, wonderful people. And it was a lot of fun. I was there to represent Nerd and Tie Expo with Gen Proc and Sarah Wells, and we were there to talk about our guest announcements and to sell some pre-regs. And we gave away a pre-reg for the Mario Kart 8 tournament that happened. Overall, it was a good weekend. With the con itself, it sort of... Maybe it's just because it was the layout of the convention. The way the tabletop gaming room was set up was out in the atrium of the hotel. If you've ever been to the DoubleTree for Convergence or anything like that, you know that there's the atrium there, and that's where the tabletop room was. So about midnight would roll around and they would shut it all down. Which most tabletop rooms I've seen anyway tend to, at least from No Brand Con, tend to run 24 hours.
A lot of cons don't run them 24 hours. So.
Gotcha. So that was, and maybe it would have been open a little bit longer if it had been for a different location. But tabletop room, that was a lot of fun. They had these really cool, you got into a pod. I wasn't able to play it because I was a little short on cash this weekend, but it was $8. You'd get into a giant pod and you'd control a robot.
Oh, I've played one of those at ASEN. Yeah, it's really cool.
I played one of those at Gen Con 2002, MechWarrior 4.
Yeah, this one
Yeah,
was called like
that's
the Fallout Shelter is what it was called,
okay.
and it was really neat. The video game room, I mean, it had a wide variety of options to choose from. They had actually the Oculus Rift all set up and able to check that out, so that was pretty neat.
Nice.
And their main programming room was excellent. All the big tournaments took place in there. It was a really, really cool, actually, like sort of stadium atmosphere for all the big tournaments. So all in all, I recommend 2D Con to people. It was a blast. The folks at This Is Geek know how to run a convention, especially if you're big into video gaming, tabletop gaming, role playing, that kind of stuff. It was an excellent, excellent convention.
Well, and I think we need to give them credit for being able to relocate that quickly because
they had what?
they were originally scheduled
2
to be at
months
the
to relocate.
Thunderbird. They were originally scheduled to be at the Thunderbird, which announced about a month and a half ago that they were closing prior to the convention, and they and a bunch of other conventions had to relocate, and we'll talk about some of that in the mailbag. But yeah, it's so it's any layout issues they have. Frankly, it's they had to last minute move into that space and figure it all out. So, kudos to their team.
Sounds like they did it successfully there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, good job.
Hooray! So should we move into?
I'm glad it went well.
So should we move into the mailbag?
Let's look at what we've got. We got some stuff in the mailbag this week.
We got a couple letters, and we'll take the first one from Jerry Keown. I'm assuming I'm saying your name right, Jerry. I apologize if I am not. Jerry writes us with subject Anime Fusion has a new home. Anime Fusion was, for those of you who don't know, also was scheduled to be in the same convention center that 2D Con was in. Anime Fusion has a new home, and they didn't say which in the letter, but if you check animefusion.net, you will find out. Unfortunately, Jerry also writes, unfortunately, another displaced con from the Ramada Mall of America, TollCon, has announced that they will delay their launch to 2017. So, short there.
Ouch.
But TollCon, yeah, TollCon's a weird beast. I don't know what's going on with TollCon. It's a very expensive.
It's not a convention that just anybody is going to go to. The registration fee is much, much higher than other conventions, but it's also because they offer
like
a lot
several
of
$100s.
They're trying to do something
I've
weird.
heard. It's from my understanding, it's because they have like a Tolkien-esque feast like every night of the convention.
Yeah, it's,
So I mean, that's going to raise prices. They're bringing in like actual Tolkien scholars to. They were anyway. I don't know how this is going to affect their 2017 stuff, if they're going to be able to get the same people or not. But I mean, they're bringing in the people that have helped like create the languages and that kind of thing.
yeah.
So it's not a con that you're just going to day trip to.
It's not for casuals. Casual fans of Tolkien, I should say. Like that's like the whole thing. Is it's not for your average science fiction fan or lit fan. It is for Tolkien aficionados, like specifically Tolkien people. Like, yeah,
Crazy. Okay.
So unfortunately,
Sorry, I'm having trouble staying whelmed at such a description. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, I got to hear a lot about it at 2D-Con actually, because Gen and I know a few people that are involved in it, and we had a talk with them, and yeah, it's gonna be freaking insane once it gets going. Like I am, like if I could drop a couple $100 to go, I would. Like that's.
Pher, why don't you take us to our next letter?
Yeah.
Yes.
Our next letter comes from Langland, and Langland writes to us: Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. Cowabunga, dudes! I just checked out the latest Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. Man, I love it. I actually thought this one was very entertaining. Bebop and Rocksteady were awesome. I liked seeing Krang, even though the movie could have done a few more scenes with him. Shredder was pretty cool, too, in this one. I also enjoyed Megan Fox. She was awesome in this movie, too. Casey Jones was pretty cool, too. The only thing I wish he had was a signature long hair, but hey, whatever, he was still pretty awesome. Yeah, it's because he was played by Stephen Amell.
Yeah.
I get the feeling Amel hates the wig.
Yeah, there's no way you were gonna get that on him.
Well, but also like the character concept for Casey Jones. They gave Casey Jones a backstory. It's amazing. Instead of just being a guy who shows
I'm
up.
a sociopath who hits people with sports equipment.
He actually had a reason for being there. Like he had a specific reason for being there, and so long hair wouldn't have worked with that background, anyways.
Okay.
All right, sorry for continue.
Overall, I liked this movie. It felt like my childhood from watching the cartoons back in the day. It was well played into this movie. Just by having Bebop and Rocksteady and not that stupid wolf and snapping turtle duo. Taka and Razar was awesome.
Well, Taka and Razar were specifically created because they couldn't get the rights to Bebop and Rocksteady when they made that movie, because the rights to the comic are separate from the rights to the cartoon characters, and Bebop and Rocksteady were created for the cartoon. Sorry, trivia.
Overall, I think it's a good movie, even if the critics hate it and Rotten Tomato gives it like 31% or whatever. So sure, you guys may or may not agree with my opinion, but I like this one. I've been hearing people that like are fans. This is an aside. I've been hearing that people who are fans of like the cartoon and the original Turtles and stuff really enjoyed this movie.
I haven't seen the first one yet.
I have opinions, and I will talk about them once you finish the letter.
I would be excited for the sequel, but then I remember that it still will be the third one, and the third movies and the most trilogies tend to suck. So yeah, that's all I got. Go Ninjas, go Ninjas, go. I made another funny.
All right.
Sign Langland.
So I have seen this film, and I have strong opinions of it. And okay, overall, I actually enjoyed Ninja Turtles 2: Out of the Shadows. It was overall what it said on the package. Like they're Ninja Turtles. Bebop and Rocksteady are accurately portrayed. I do feel like a lot of this, I feel like when they made the first movie that they were trying to make a movie. I feel like with this one, they said, okay, this is what everybody complained about. Fine. You want Bebop and Rocksteady? We'll give you Bebop and Rocksteady. Fine. You want you want your Comic Shredder? Fine. We'll give you Comic Shredder. Fine. You want Krang? We'll give you Krang. Fine. You want Baxter Stockman? We'll give you fine. Take it. Have all of it. We're just going to shove it all in. Every little complaint you made, take it, and you better like it. And to be fair, it's like you wanted a cartoon episode? Fine. We'll give you an episode of the cartoon series. That's really what it felt like. They were like, and to be fair, that's what they gave us. They gave us they gave us a remake of the 1980s cartoon, which is not what the first movie was trying to be. The first movie was trying to be a remake of the franchise, of which there is multiple cartoon series. There are there was a quadrilogy of films that set in a specific continuity with 1, 2, 3, and then TMNT, which those four are all the same continuity as each other. There's comics. There's multiple series of comics besides the original Mirage. There's the Archie comics, and there's so many versions of the Ninja Turtles. And the fact is that people who are between the ages of 25 and 35 all remember a specific version, and that's the version that they all got mad that the last movie wasn't, while kids loved it. Let's remember, the Target demo for that last movie enjoyed it, and they'll still like this one, but I felt like there was a lot of fan service to an audience that maybe shouldn't always be catered to. I enjoyed the film. I thought the film made it work well, but I felt like this film is literally the definition of pandering to white males between 25 and 35 who can't let go of their childhood.
Which is a shame, because the current Turtles cartoon, I have a friend who's a big Turtles aficionado, and he insisted that I watch some of the current one that's on Nickelodeon right now. Really good show.
Yeah.
Solid writing, solid acting. Yeah. But it's that same thing that we get with modern nerddom, is that you see it in the Transformers fans all the time. It's these people who grew up with one version don't recognize that there have been a zillion different versions since the last time they cared. But then when a live action movie comes out, they lose their minds when it's not just an adaptation of the one version they cared about and ignore the 50 that came out since then.
Well, and especially like with the case of Ninja Turtles, is it's not even like the original version of the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they're beholden to a version of. So like I feel what happened was with the 2014 film is they were really trying to tonally imitate the first movie, the 1990 movie. Was it 90 or 89?
Mm-hmm.
But either way, the first Ninja Turtles live action film. And
Was
I
it
felt
91?
like they were. I thought 91 was. I don't remember. We know what movie we're talking about.
Right.
Either way, like they were tonally trying to imitate that, and I love that movie. Don't get me wrong, but you have to, like it was very different from the cartoon, and the cartoon is like the cartoon. Eastman and Laird themselves said they hate lots of things about that cartoon. The only thing they like that came out of the cartoon was the changing the masks to different colors for different turtles. Because originally in the original everyone wore red, and by giving each turtle a different color, it made it easier to recognize, and that's why if you watch the first movie they did, like there are only 2 adaptions from the cartoon. April O'Neil is made a reporter because she was not a reporter in the original comics, guys. She was Baxter Stockman's assistant, and she inherited an antique store. That antique store does show up in the movie. Yeah, it's like so. I feel this time around they're trying to adapt a different version. Sorry, it's I know we need to move on, but it's like so. While overall I will say I liked Out of the Shadows, I really felt like it was the textbook definition of a pandering movie. Like this is where stuff was thrown in to try to pander to the fans. And guess what? I'm dollars to donuts. They're all going to still complain about it. I haven't paid attention to the online chatter. I don't know, but yeah. So, but I liked it. I did like it, Langland.
I don't either.
I did like it, Langland. So
I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Well, there's only one thing left to do, and it's the Vomit Hat Steve Challenge.
As Nick and I said it together, jinx. That means Nick can't talk for the rest of the show. Oh, no, I said his name. So now you can. All right, so the Vomit at Steve Challenge, for those who don't know, is at the end of every episode, I read a section of the book. And the challenge to you, the listener/viewer, is to guess what book I am reading from. If you guess correctly, you get included in the Hall of Awesome. The benefits of the Hall of Awesome are as follows. 1, you get your name listed on the website. 2, we read your name aloud every regular episode. And 3, nothing else. That is it. And it sounds better to say 3 things. The current members of the Hall of Awesome are as follows. Arkamai, Zero, Ren and Senti, Cheesy McDammy, Krista, Slithery, Shameless Otaku, The Random Ramblings, Van Corfran, Capito, Chris Graham, Lillisaurus, Paper Godzilla, Cavsy, and the Minnesota Librarians, who are terrifying human beings. And oh my god, I almost just put that on frame. Alright, so I've been reading from the same book for a few episodes, and we're going to
I assume that the Minnesota Librarians are just taking this one off, or else they would have gotten it by now.
No, I've been picking obscure lines. We're gonna give a longer sentence this time, so I expect it to be guessed relatively soon. So the line I'm going to give you is: the skirt, as a covering for the hips and genitals, represents the princess's power to procreate to continue the royal line. If you know what book that's from, go to nerdandtide.com, click on the contact form, and tell us. Or go to that form if you want to tell us anything else. If you want us to read your messages on the internet, if you want us to ask Pher why he's wearing that shirt, if you want to ask Nick how many action figures are on the shelf behind him and what exactly their specific preferred gender pronouns are, just go there and do it. Do it now, or do it later. Just do it before next episode. I don't know.
Well, I think that's all we've got for this fortnight's edition of Nerd and Tie. So, as always, I'm Nick Izumi.
I'm
Trey Doran.
Sturs.
And I'm Trey Doran. And remember, you can always... I'm going to say, remember to subscribe to us on Stitcher. Remember to subscribe to us on iTunes. Remember to subscribe to us on the Google Play Store. Anywhere your podcasts are sold and your favorite podcaster asks, rate and review us on all of those stuff too. Because it's important. And it'll make your soul better.
Keep on spocking.
In the free world?
It's all good. Keep on spocking. In the free world.
Dance party. Oh God, it hurts. Oh God, it hurts. Looks like Voltron's falling over in that image.
Right?
And
look, original Voltron hasn't had a lot of work lately. The Deadpool royalties he already used up.
And Gravitron's Z's just staring at him.
He's letting it happen.
He's not helping. He's not helping at all. Oh God, what a bastard.
Voltron brought it upon himself. What a dick.